your favorite villain?
My favorite villain? I kind of like Diddy.
When people say I'm a troll, I say,
I don't know why you're saying I'm trolling people. I'm doing what you've conditioned.
Jaguar Wright strongly responded to 50 Cent's documentary about Diddy. She said the Netflix release only shows a small part of what really happened. According to her, viewers were given a limited and controlled version of the story. She believes important details, recorded statements, and major industry moments were left out on purpose, not by mistake. Wright says the platform chose not to show the full picture, leaving many serious questions unanswered.
It was done too well. It left out too many things.
So can you speak on Curtis Jackson? 50 Cent said that this is the first one. He said that there's hundreds of hours of more footage.
I'm sure there was hundreds of hours of shit that was confiscated from all of Diddy's homes in that HSI raid that never made it to the trial. I wonder where it made.
Jaguar Wright gave a powerful reaction to 50 Cent's documentary focused on Diddy. She claims the Netflix version barely touches the real story and only presents a small, controlled part of what exists. She says the material shown is just a fraction of the full archive. Complete recordings, important statements, and major industry-changing moments were intentionally removed. According to Wright, the deeper layers were held back, and the platform chose not to go further, leaving much of the truth hidden.
Would you call the documentary educational, informational, entertaining? What would you say this documentary?
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
And it's sad because there's a lot of stuff in there that's true. But there's enough.
Jaguar Wright shared in a new interview that she looked deeper after watching 50 Cent's documentary. She said once she finished it, she contacted Gene Deal, a longtime security insider who worked closely with Diddy and understood how things operated behind the scenes. Jaguar says Gene described a pattern of disturbing behavior, pressure, protected inner circles, and situations handled quietly away from the public. She believes his absence from a documentary presented as a major reckoning is very noticeable. She says speaking with him helped fill important gaps and revealed details she believes were purposely left out, suggesting the final release was softened for viewers instead of exposing everything.
Isn't over. I agree. Like, that's the thing. The story's not even being told. Because in order to tell the actual whole story, you would have to include everyone that is involved. But no, this is about saving the industry and blaming it all on Diddy. Saving the industry and blaming it all on Diddy. Okay, Diddy's going to jail. He's going to do his time. I don't know if I don't know what that appeal is looking like right now. Because see, the one thing that all of this documentary shit is doing is definitely fucking up his possibility for an appeal to get out early. Especially with the judge and them and the appeal board having to look at the footage of him sitting there with Mark Agnifilo, pretty much working on how to fix the trial.
And for him to be watching the feds watching him.
Yeah, film me, the feds. Why?
Jaguar Wright says the timing of the documentary and its heavy focus on familiar stories raised concerns for her. She believes it was made less to reveal the truth and more to control how people see the story. According to her, the use of old clips, repeated incidents, and already accepted industry points brought no new information. Instead, she feels it guided attention in a safer direction. In her view, the film shaped public opinion carefully and avoided deeper, uncomfortable details.
They did what they needed to do in this documentary. The whole objective of this documentary was to blame it all on Diddy. The devil made me do it, blame it all on Diddy, and the rest of the industry is nothing like this. Like when Curtis Jackson sat there in his interview with Robin and sat there and said, I did this because I don't want people thinking that the hip hop community is okay with this kind of behavior. You know, I don't want them thinking that, you know, we're just going to be silent while all of this is going on. Like, we're okay with this kind of behavior. And my thing is so now you speaking for all of hip hop, and all of hip hop is uncomfortable with this. Meanwhile, you got people like Ja Rule who, on the low key, allegedly, Gene Deal has exposed for having his own nude tryst freak-offs with Diddy.
In that courtroom.
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that. He may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but
Jaguar Wright points to reports that major media outlets allegedly held on to footage connected to serious incidents involving Diddy and Cassie for years. She questions why real consequences only appeared after the legal window seemed to close. She says the documentary avoided this issue completely. She also asks that if there were claims of a broader investigation, why were other powerful figures, close associates, and key decision-makers not examined? In her opinion, by avoiding these questions, the film left the larger system behind the situation unexplored.
He announced he was going to be doing the documentary December 2023 with Netflix. And the star footage that you use to get people to re-upload or resubscribe to Netflix to make this the #1 in their TV shows division for almost 2 weeks straight. Beating out Stranger Things. How much stranger is that?
I'm not Becky.
This footage didn't even exist when you said you were going to be doing this documentary. So we've got a videographer, a rogue videographer that has this very, very, very explosive, very explosive footage of him literally sitting on camera, planning how to go after survivors, how to poison the jury pool, how to fix his trial in advance before he's even arrested. I mean, like, is anybody not forgetting when Mark Agnifilo was sitting there talking to the sons in the hallway, and they're sitting there filming, and he's sitting up there, yeah, well, see, what we got to do is we got to go and we got to put countersuits on all of these people. We have to create lawsuits ourselves. He's sitting there talking about creating lawsuits to affect public perception.
Jaguar Wright questions what she sees as the documentary's biggest claim, which was the promise of unreleased footage that 50 Cent said he had secured. She notes that when the project was first announced, he reportedly did not even have access to that material. She believes this timeline creates serious questions about how certain details were known in advance. In her view, the rollout felt planned instead of natural. She says this made the film seem less like an honest effort to inform and more like a carefully structured production that guided viewers instead of showing the full story.
He won't spare no cost in doing this because he wanted to tell the story, and he wanted to tell the story like it was supposed to be told and everything like that. I said, yeah, okay. So then the director, I got to get her name, man, because it don't even sound. I want to put her on blast because she was telling me, she was saying to me that what I was asking for was crazy, and they wasn't spending money like that. I'm talking about you got footage, you got clothing, you got I was doing footage. I had pictures, all the stuff that I had. You could figure out a way to pay a brother and stuff like that. And then I was telling her about some prices that I've already received, and I had the invoices to show it. And then she was calling me like I was lying. I was like, yo, who do you think you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about, there's no way nobody paid. Nobody what? I say, first of all you people come with these documentaries and stuff. The first thing you tell me, y'all tell these people out here that y'all don't pay, and y'all pay. If you can make a picture, look like $10,000-$15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're going to pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, one thing led to another. And I was like, all right, well then, F you, I spoke to 50. And then she said 50. And this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and go out of this documentary. And he definitely don't pay. He determine what somebody get paid. It's not his documentary like that. I was like, oh, so if it's not his documentary and I spoke to him like that, I don't need to be doing nothing with you because I'm doing this on the strength of him. But you gonna pay me if the 50 didn't have the power to do anything, but they using his name to like push the whole documentary. And that's what it was about. So that's why you don't see a cameo other than the pictures they used of me on the film in the documentary. I got like 3 or 4 pictures in the documentary that I've seen of myself. Some people say they saw more, but I know three different times where I was certain places that you could actually see me in the documentary, and that's the only thing you're going to get. But the stories that they told in the documentary, bro, come on. They could have went a whole lot deeper. They could have did a whole lot more.
Gene Deal later chose to step away from the documentary after realizing that 50 Cent did not have full creative control. Gene says he had important records and first-hand knowledge. After a long conversation with 50, he understood that decisions about footage approval, payment, and who would appear in the final version were controlled by Netflix and the production team. Once he realized the story would be filtered and restricted, he decided not to participate because he believed the deeper version of events would not be allowed to be shown.
You got a Diddy leading up to him getting arrested, and how you feel about all that, man?
Well, what I feel about the documentary, they left a whole lot of key things out. If they was going to do something and they're going to say in the reckoning of Sean Combs, the reckoning, or Diddy, the reckoning and stuff like that, it should have been a lot of people that we lost because of him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't only Big. It wasn't only Tupac. You understand? For the atmosphere that he put those kids in. You got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy, from its conception as doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't able to tell that story because they didn't have no intel on that story or what went down, or they didn't do their investigations right, which he also led up to the reason why Wolf ain't here today. You understand? They didn't tell that story. They didn't tell a story about Jessica Rosenbaum, who was at the City College situation.
Gene Deal supported Jaguar Wright's claims. He said he was not guessing but relying on material he had kept for years, including recordings, photos, documents, and detailed records. He says he shared all of this with the production team. However, when he asked for fair payment for his time and the materials he provided, his concerns were ignored. Gene says that made their intentions clear to him. He believes they were not trying to reveal the complete truth, but only wanted someone on camera briefly to keep viewers engaged while controlling the story and keeping the most serious details hidden.
Imagine if they had had any testimony from Little Rod and the footage that he had from that incident, that firearm incident where the guy G was damn near mortally wounded and was losing his life, and the footage that he had from that. Can you imagine if that had been shown to the jury?
I don't know, man.
Like, why not? If it was available for them to get it from Little Rod to put it in a documentary, and Little Rod hasn't gone to trial yet, then why in God's name hasn't why did any of this make it to the feds?
That's a great question. Why didn't they even subpoena or talk to?
Curtis Jackson announced in December of 2023, after Cassie's lawsuit came out, that he was going to be doing his own documentary. Isn't it very clever that all of this, alarming and stuff didn't come out of his documentary until almost 6 months after his verdict came in? 2 months after he had been sentenced? It was almost as if they were holding the documentary to not get in the way of his trial. Like, that's the thing that's tripping me out when it's coming to all of this Curtis Jackson praise that's coming on. And there's a lot of people. If he didn't get paid, usually it's like 90 days before you start, you got to put in an invoice and all of that stuff. Like, his business machine was still businessing. You telling me nobody around him. That sounds like a setup to me.
Sounds like a setup.
It sounds like a setup to me. And when you think about the fact that, another conversation that we've been having, a lot of people aren't paying attention to the money behind the machine. BlackRock, Vanguard, owners of Diageo, the company that Diddy tried to go after and had to settle out of court for, with sealed findings, and nobody really knows how that turned out before his life got turned upside down and HSI came in raiding, grabbing all kinds of evidence and all kinds of stuff. They're part owners in Netflix. Did you know that?
That's information.
The very company that has allegedly been going out of their way to work with the higher ups to make Diddy's life a living hell have a stake in the platform that's now ruining what's left of his reputation worldwide.
Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal say that some of the material in the documentary may have had serious legal consequences. They claim that even Diddy's legal team was allegedly unaware that certain conversations were recorded. They believe that if evidence suggesting attempts to influence public opinion had been shown to a jury, it could have increased federal attention. What concerns them most is how the documentary seems to change the story of how that footage was obtained and handled, leaving viewers unsure about what was fully real and what may have been selectively presented.
This is awful that Diddy owes his life to Mark Agnifilo, literally his life, because he could have gotten life in prison were it not for Mark Agnifilo, his defense lawyer, who had a brilliant strategy. And Diddy screwed him over when he hired this videographer to chronicle his life without telling Mark Agnifilo that when Diddy and Mark were on the phone, this videographer was recording what Mark clearly expected to be an attorney-client privileged relationship. Now, it is true that the client holds that privilege. The lawyer doesn't. But Mark's clear expectation was that this was a private conversation. These were private conversations. And that he and Diddy could talk openly. And Mark could talk to Diddy not just as a client, but as a person, and tried to guide him in a time leading up to his arrest. And unbeknownst to Mark Agnifilo, Diddy has got this guy recording the conversation as he's sitting there saying, "You are screwing this up. You are messing up this case. We're losing." And knowing that that's on.
Some critics say the documentary mainly affected Diddy's position during his appeal. Newly released footage reportedly showed private discussions and strategic talks involving his legal team, which may have placed him at a disadvantage. The situation became more serious when claims surfaced that some conversations with attorneys were recorded without their knowledge. This reportedly caused frustration among his legal team because private discussions became public. Together, these issues created the belief that the documentary had consequences beyond entertainment and may have affected legal matters directly.